My son and I decided to make a small ATX computer. We thought, if we're going to make it small and have a bit of fun, why not make it transparent too? So we've got some Perspex cut to measure off the internet, and with some drilling for air and for visibility and for switches, we drilled some holes and cut some circles out, and we've formed a case like that. We're going to assemble it now, and a pre-assembled part of it, and you will know that an ATX board is ideal for it. It's the smallest board you can get, full size, but we needed a power source. So I searched the internet for this little gizmo, which is a 500 watt high power DC ATX power unit, which you can see there, and I made a slight little mod to it. But you can get this off the internet, and I'll give you a show there. There you go, that's it. So I've made a little modification to it, just so it fits in the case. So I took that unit off there, which was fitted there, put some wires on it so I can put it on the case that way, but it was sat like that. So we're going to install everything now. And what I did have is, I had an old Ryzen processor from a previous build, and I built it around that purely because it's got onboard graphics. It's got a Ryzen 5. I bought the MSI B450 ATX motherboard, so it's the small factor, so 170 by 170. And we bought obviously some memory, 16 gigabytes, and also we bought the PCIe memory card, which I put on the back already. You can see there. So we'll reassemble it now. First off, just a power unit. As you can see, I pre-drilled the holes, and this case is only a prototype at the moment, but it's a second one I've done. Some lessons out of cutting Perspex. Try and make sure the Perspex is warm while you cut it, otherwise you end up with splinters like that. And make sure you drill it slowly, otherwise you'll melt the Perspex with the heat of the drill. And then we just mount the DC socket to the case. And just go a couple of washes in there just to set it off. A little bit fiddly. just before I tighten them up, I just need to put a spacer underneath there, just so when we put the power supply in and out, it doesn't stress the connectors. So that's just 2 nuts there. This case, Perspex, costs £12 to make off the internet, plus the postage was near enough dearer than that, £8. So power supply in position. Now we're going to put the motherboard. So obviously I put the legs on the motherboard already. I've had to fire down the cooler in order for the fan to sit flush on it. So we'll just position that there. Now we do need to connect power leads first so we can make it all nice and tidy. And obviously we have to have a switch. So we'll put the power switches on in place. Give me a little fiddle. Switch. There we go. And the switch is going to be around about here, so we need these going underneath so we can get them positioned. My apologies, wrong way around. And like so. There we go. Now, at the power lead, I had to shorten this to make it fit, and obviously that goes like that. So gently put into place. Now these always work better when you're making cables, to warm the cables up so you can get a bit of flexibility. And then obviously we need to put the PC process power supply cable in place too. And again, we want to hide that out of the way, make it a bit tidy, so we'll put it under there and put it in position there. Okay, now obviously I haven't got graphics in here board because I want to keep it as small as possible, and that's why I chose the AMD 5 processor, run at 2400, and it's got the Vega graphics inbuilt. So that's all in position. Alright, now I'm going to put the fan on, and we've got an RGB fan, and the build was built around making it RGB, otherwise I could have made it a lot smaller, but I wanted to use this stock AMD fan I had, which is RGB, and I thought it looked good with it. So first off, we're going to put the memory in place first. We've got 16 gigs of memory here. Now obviously you can use 8, you know, 8's good enough to play most games on and do a bit of processing. but I had 16 knocking around. Now I'm going to have to take the metal covers off because it is tight once we put this AMD spiral RGB in place. And again, I want to keep the cabling nice and tidy, so I'll bring that under there. Try and get it worked all the way in. Oh, it's a bit fiddly with wires, especially when they're cool. And there we go. So we'll have RGB control now with the Mystic Lights software off the MSI motherboard. So got that nicely tucked away there now. Now we're going to put the AMD's stock spiral cooler in place. And plug them in. Yeah. And put that cable that way. And as you can see there, I've just modified this. And I've really ripped it apart in order for it to get as flush as possible on the cooler there. Now this will push the memory slightly out as we try and get it into position. And hide them cables there. And we just want that part just tucked in there. So we want the lowest profile possible we can possibly get. I think that's about right. Right. Just need to screw the motherboard in place. So keep an order of everything. Sure it's all in position. Yep, and there. Okay, that's that screw to that. I've glued the back part on already, or rather the front part. So that's all in place. We're going to build the sides up now. So side there, and a side on the other way, and we just need the screws to do so. So we're going to flip it over now, and I'm just going to screw this in place. Now I could have glued this in place, but I wanted to get access to it because it's still only a prototype, and once I'm happy with the case, then I will get a new case made and I'll have it laser cut for the coolant holes, like you can see. And then it'll look a bit more tidy on the case, and I'll have the penny edges upon it too. That's one side. Oops. And we'll get the other side. So you can get case screws off the internet, and they're only cheap. £6 for a case of screws, various sizes. Alright, so the problem with this screw is a bit tight, don't know why. Play board as such. There we go. And we're in there. Alright, so got the cooler in there. Now we're going to put the back on. So I need to put the back plate in place too, which goes that way into position and position like so. Put the screws in place, and this will hold the power source again in place quite strong, or sometimes the abuse it gets in and out. Just put them in loosely. Need to do the screws underneath. Just screw them into position. I'll sort of that all together. There we go. Okay. So it's looking good so far. Now obviously I'll cut this diameter all out here so the fan can suck in the air, and I put the hose down here just below the motherboard there to drag the air down there, and it is a good airflow and quite strong actually, stronger than I thought. I thought I might have additional cooling at the back here, but not so. So before we do that, we'll put the decorated fins on the memory sticks. And just line them up. Got a little momentary switch here. So momentary switch is, it doesn't stay in. Once you press it, it comes back out. So it's a momentary switch. and we'll put that top and take him down into place. He's going to be over in the corner right, and I want the switch bit that way around, so we just nip that up. There we go, that's nipped up. Just need to get the power leads to position, and before we do that, just check everything's pushed home socket wise. Yeah. It's looking good. Right. Screw again. And just colour coded these just to make sure I can hold them straight in again. Last but not least, make sure good there. Okay, looking good there. So far so good. And we just need to push everything down, line it up. So it's been a good project this for my son Zach, and obviously for myself too. Just nip them all. We did decide whether or not we wanted to put a hinge on the lid, but the hinge is a bit big and it takes away from the aesthetics. Now, with this cutting, once we turn the lights out, the light will enter the joints and will show the joints up. And you can put more RGB lights in it to light it up. And if you can get the RGB lights in between the joints, it will then send the light up, and where the joints are rougher or fractured, the light will pick it up. So there we have it. That's the unit there. There's the back. Right, the moment of truth. Will it work? Let's find out. Right, HDMI in. Obviously this is Wi-Fi, but I've got an Ethernet cable to connect it to. As you can see, I have power to the switch. Let's rest it against there. Let's see what we get. Oh dear. We have a loose connection somewhere. No, we don't. That's great. And as you can see, the RGB colours come up now. And obviously we can modify that with the MSI Mystic software. Oh, I think you'd have to say that looks pretty good. Always helps to have a keyboard and mouse so you can control everything. Okay. Just get the control centre up. Let's put this over here so we can see it going. As we have a look at the screen. And as you can see, it's running at 28 degrees. Now, obviously I've tested this before and it doesn't get above 40, 45, the highest I've seen it, and that's when I've tested it playing Fortnite on the highest settings. So let's see if we can just fire Fortnite up. It might take 2 hours to load because it's a Sunday and all the community will be on it. As you can hear, the fans just kicking in. So I might pause it here while Fortnite kicks in. Let's switch the lights off. Switch the lights off. And as you can see now, it's picking up the colour on the lid joint. So you could have a lot of fun with this RGB wise by making some mods to it. Okay, let's see what the settings are for Fortnite. And there you go. Epic, 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 epic. And that's running the AMD Radeon vegan graphics. Okay, that's it guys, thanks for watching. But again, just to recap, what did I use? I used an MSI B450 motherboard, AM4 socket obviously, so it's an ITX board, a Ryzen 5 processor at 2400 megahertz with onboard Radeon Vega graphics. just a Corsair standard memory, running at 3200, and the 16 gigabytes there. Obviously it's DDR4, and for a memory I just use a PCI memory, obviously for the size, so a solid state hard drive, and it fits quite snugly. And obviously the power source was from the internet, being a 500 watt unit, and as you can see it sits quite neatly inside the case. Thanks for watching. Cheers.